I'm DJ Graish, and in tonight's live stream, we're going to be making some bass lines with the Wavetable Synth. So, hope you've all had a good week. I've had a good week. It's all going pretty well. Let me know if you can see me, let me know if you can hear me, and let me know if you can see Ableton live. I want to big up Suklal in the chat. And we had a pretty cool conversation the other night in the Graish Nation members meeting on the Discord. Yes, Suklal, thank you, man. So yeah, it was a little bit cooler weather this week, especially this weekend. We did have a couple of cloudy days, and we even had a bit of rain. How's the weather in North Carolina, Suklal? You know what, it's been so hot and so dry here, and I'm sorry to be disgusting, but here in Barcelona the drains get a bit stuck if there's no water. So on my road there's been a bit of a horrendous stench for the past couple of weeks, which I'm pleased to tell you is now gone away because it rained and it flushed it out. Yeah, and we had this we've had this, like, on everybody's smartphone they get this warning saying that it's a red alert and it's danger of floods. So I guess that meant other areas of the country, because in Barcelona there was only really like a little shower. Shout out Future World Machines, shout out Misty. And I was just banging on about the weather as usual and saying in Barcelona we did actually have 3 days of cloudiness, and it was very welcome. Although, to be honest with you, it's been back to scorching today, and if you look at the weather app for the next 10 days it's just going to be ridiculously hot. Every day, every night. I need to remember how to pronounce this now. Ephemeral. Big up Ephemeral. Yeah man, we needed that. And how's the weather where you are? So as I was saying in the title and thumbnail, today I'm going to talk to you about Wavetable Synth. It's a powerful synth that you get with the full suite version of Ableton Live. I think it came with maybe version 10, maybe version 9. But anyway, I'm using version 11 here, and I have Wavetable Synth, and it is a amazing free built-in, well not free, but a built-in synthesizer that you don't need to download separately. And you can get some amazing sounds from it, and I'm going to sort of give you a tour of the interface and then explain what each bit of the synth does, and then we're going to get into using it. I didn't know you were Swedish, man. Big up the Swedish crew. So you got like almost 24-hour daylight now, right? I've always wanted to go to Scandinavia in the summertime and experience that daylight all night, you know? I don't actually have Serum yet. I will be getting it. But right now, it's either Wavetable or I sometimes use Vital. And actually what I started with back in the day when I first got into this kind of wavetable synthesis, I used to use one called Albino 3, and it's a guy called Rob Pappen, and Rob Pappen's synths called Albino, and I was on the 3rd version, and that's how I first learned to use all the different parts of the synth. So what I'm going to do is just bring in the wavetable here, put it on the first MIDI track, and let's get stuck in. Oh, no way. So Ephemeral is actually British, but he's living in Sweden. Alright, so look, here's the Wavetable Synth. By the way, if you are happy to see it in this sort of view, that's cool, but there's also a button here that makes it go full screen, so you can have it a bit more spread out and you've got your different sections all like that. For now, I'm just going to keep it in this sort of smaller mode at the bottom of the screen, and we're just going to go through the different sections. So over here on the left, you've got this section that's got a sub button, and this essentially adds an extra layer of synth underneath, which can be sub bass, you know, which means you can use your main oscillators for other stuff and then just have the sub going underneath it. But anyway, we're going to leave that for now, and I'm just going to talk about this section, which is the oscillators, and specifically I'm on oscillator 1. And actually what I thought could be cool is if I get the oscilloscope, open that up. Where is it now? It's coming up on the other screen. So here's the oscilloscope. So Ephemeral is asking me about my accent. So I'm originally from Macclesfield, which is in Cheshire, and it's not that far away from Manchester. And I lived there from when I was born up until I was 20, and then I moved to Barcelona, Spain. And when I went back, my accent, my auntie was like, "You've not lost your accent," which I thought funny because it's like, just because I'm living in Spain, I'm not just going to suddenly develop a Spanish accent. Shout out my auntie Rachel, though, she's so funny. Anyway, so going back to what I was talking about, we've got the Wavetable Synth, right? I've got an oscilloscope here, which basically shows you the shape of the waveform that you're listening to. So as you can see, in the Wavetable Synth, it's on this sort of sine wave shape, and when I press a button on the keyboard, you'll see that it is making that sine wave shape. And then you can move this slider. So one cool thing about this basic shapes within the wavetable is that you've got all the main shapes there, including the sine wave, the triangle, if we make it like 1 octave lower, or 2. Well, you know, like, I have actually toned down a lot the way I speak, all the slang and stuff, you know, to make myself more understood. So anyway, this slider, yeah, you go from sine wave to triangle to, this is a sawtooth wave and then a square wave, and watch the oscilloscope as I go through them. And I want to big up Manilyn Sahagun all the way from Yafrank in the Costa Brava. So anyway, these waveform shapes, right? So you've got a sine wave, which kind of sounds more like a pure, if you're using it for sub bass, it's like a pure sub sound, you know? It doesn't have very much harmonics, and for that reason, you can't really hear it on smaller speakers, but for the speakers that can hear it, they're going to hear it super clear and powerful. So what some people like to do is put a layer of bass underneath their main bass, which is just a sine wave sub. And that's what this section over here is all about. So when you turn on the sub layer, you'll notice that it doesn't really have any other controls other than the gain and the different octave and transpose, but you can't change the waveform shape. And the reason is because it's better to just have a sine wave sub. Okay, so that's the subsection, and this is the basic layers. And by the way, let me know if you can hear some kind of interference on the stream. I hope you can't, but I can hear it in my headphones. So you've got loads of different collections of different waveform shapes. For example, distortion, look at this. And if I play some, wow. Guys, I'm not sure if you can hear that, but there's some really weird sounds going on here. Anyway, so I'll keep going and hopefully it'll stop. So, you've got two different oscillators, so you can turn them both on, and all you have to do is click this other tab, click this little square here, you'll turn on oscillator 2, and you can play them both at the same time. And I'm really hoping that's going to stop, by the way, guys, but just bear with me. So yeah, you can layer them both, and they've both got this volume control here, right? So you can have, for example, on oscillator 1, you can have your main shape. You could choose, for example, a triangle shape on oscillator 1 and have the volume full. On oscillator 2, you can choose a totally random shape like this, for example, and then you can just turn down the volume here and have that one sort of blended in and layered. So that's one thing you can do with the two different oscillators. Now, moving over, this section here is these filters, and there's two different filters. You can put them on low pass, high pass, band pass, and then there's this notch out one, and then there's this one, which I've never used. But they're the different filter shapes, and then you can have it on 12 dB per octave. This is the slope, and then you've got 24 dB per octave, and then you've got clean, and then there's all these different styles which are kind of like colored filters, so they've got a bit of distortion in with them and stuff, you know. So these are really handy when it comes to modulation and using the LFO and stuff, and I'll show you that in a bit. You've also got the frequency knob here and the resonance. So listen what happens if I crank up the resonance and then move this. So that allows you to get some of that squelchy stuff going, you know. And again, you can automate that, or you can modulate it with the LFO. So what do I mean when I say about modulating stuff with the LFO? Well, I think it's probably a good time to show you the matrix. So the matrix is this grid, and along the top you've got the envelopes and the LFOs, and then down the side you've got all these different controls and different parts of the synth. So for example, the filter frequency that I was just messing with there, you can see that that's the bottom control in the matrix, and as I move it, you can see there's this sort of grey bar behind the label saying filter 1 frequency. This grey bar is moving, right? Now what you can do is you can make the LFO control that filter frequency. So the way you do that is you go into the matrix and you find the square that corresponds with LFO1 with filter 1 frequency, which is this square here. And then you click and you drag upwards and you see the value goes up. Now, I'm just going to quickly explain what an LFO is. It stands for low frequency oscillator, and it's basically a way of wobbling different things within the synth. So quickly, I'm just going to change the rate of it. So you've got hertz, or you can put it on this little note mode, and then you can change the rate to like an eighth note or a quarter note or whatever. So let's put it on a quarter. There's a quarter, right? So that means that this low frequency oscillator is going to go around every quarter note. Now let's go back to the matrix. Now because I've linked that LFO to the filter frequency, when I press a note here, you can see that it's automatically moving the filter back and forth once every quarter of a note. So that's basically what the LFO does. It moves controls, and you can make it move all sorts of different controls. For example, this slider at the side of the waveform shape can also be modulated with an LFO. So if you go to the square of the matrix that links the LFO to that, which is OSC2 position, drag that up, you see that the waveform is wobbling up and down now. And you can do that with a lot of different things. For example, this little volume control, drag up there, even that's going up and down now, although it doesn't show you. but it is. That's called the amplitude. Alright, so that's the matrix. You can also do the same with envelopes. For example, this envelope here. Let's choose envelope 2 and then change it a bit. So you've got the attack, the decay, sustain, and release, right? And then you can go into the matrix and make envelope 2 control. Let's just put it on oscillator 2 position. Get rid of that and put it there instead. So you can make it, you can link all different parts of the synth together. Now there's a few more things here at the end which are important. You've got the overall volume, you've got the polyphony, which can be as low as 2 notes, between 2 and 8. So it looks like you can't really put it on monophonic. So if you want monophonic, you have to use a different synth. Then you've got glide, unison. This is really good because if you put it onto Unison Classic and then choose like 5 voices, it's like there's 5 of these synths that are all playing at the same time and all doing the same thing. But it's like it makes a bit of a choir of synths. Alright, so what I was thinking is that we could put together some drum and bass drums and then make a few different styles of bass line using the Wavetable Synth. So I'm going to go into the samples. This Ghost Syndicate here, there's a liquid drum and bass bundle that's available, and you get 6 sample packs all in one for quite a cheap price. And I'm going to go for Evolve. So the Evolve sample pack, and then drums, and then we've got drum one-shots. Let's have a listen to some of these kicks. Alright, kick 6. Just going to bring that in. I'm just going to loop the first bar. So I'm just highlighting it and pressing Command and L. And I better put this on a appropriate tempo. So I'm going to go for 174. And I'm just going to put the kick there. So I'm just holding down Alt while I drag the kick. And you see the little plus symbol appears. That means you're sort of copying it. So now you've got 2 kicks. And then on this layer, on this channel below, I'm going to choose a snare. All right, let's have a listen to these drums so far. Let's have a listen to some of these hat loops. All right, so I'm going to go for hat 08 V1. Wait. And I like this little loop, but there's a bit at the beginning that I didn't like, so I'm gonna just copy this here and paste that at the beginning. Now it goes like this. Alright, now I just saw out of the corner down here, you can just about see that it's going red. So if you ever see that, what you need to do is have a look at your levels, and you can see that the master is going to 4.5 over. So plus 4.5 dB. So what I usually do in this situation is just grab all of the tracks. So click the first track, hold down shift, click the last track. Now you've highlighted everything, and it means you can move it all down by an equal amount, and then the mix of everything is going to be the same. So now you can see that it's hitting up to -1.4, and actually the hats do need to be quieter. Alright, so going back to the wavetable, the star of today's show. And I was making some kind of squelchy wobble bass, but you can make all sorts of different basses in here, so I'm actually just going to turn wavetable back up. Is everyone still with me? I've been waffling for a while, but I hope you are still following me. So, as I was saying before, you can actually put the wavetable up like this, and that gives you a view where you see oscillator 1, oscillator 2. You've got all the different envelopes and LFOs all in this top section, and then that just leaves the bottom for your filter and the matrix, you know? So I'm going to get rid of what I did, actually, you know. I'm going to start from scratch. So what I'll do is actually just get the wavetable and delete it. And then I'm going to get the wavetable again and just put it there. Start from scratch. So, as I was saying before, that if you've got a pure sine wave, because it doesn't really have any harmonics, it makes it harder to hear for the people that I call the wax speaker crew. This is people who listen to music on their mobile phone speaker or worse, and they're just never going to hear any sub bass. So there's little tricks you can do, and one of them is to just change this waveform. Instead of sine, you can just put it up to a triangle. Another thing you can do is layer another oscillator with some completely random shape, and then obviously not all the way up, you know. So you can blend it in like that just a little bit. So as I was doing before, you can get LFO 1, put it on filter 1 frequency. One cool thing you can do is, you see how you got the little number on the matrix? Instead of putting it all the way up to 100, you can try it out just on a little number, like 6.2 for example. But first, let me just go to LFO 1 and change the rate of it. Another important thing to do when you're doing bass lines is to get your spectrum analyzer, put that on the master, and then maybe solo your bass line and see whereabouts you are. Now I was playing it up here, which is technically, it's like an octave above where you should really have it. Why? Because the fundamental is at 72, should be further down. So what you can do is, if you're using your computer MIDI keyboard, you can just press the Z key, or Z for the American crew. Alright, so you want your fundamental to be there, it's at 40, and if I play the note I was playing before, it was up at like 56, 62. So someone was asking, is it like Serum? Yes, basically, because I think that Serum is a wavetable synth, although it's a very advanced one and it's got a lot of different stuff going on. But considering it comes with Ableton Live, then it is a great, the Wavetable Synth is a really great and powerful synth. What I was thinking is we could make a few different patches and do like a call and response type thing. What I'll do is, on all LFO2, I'll make this have a longer time. Wait, that's not right. The rate. I'll make the rate super slow, like 0.14, 14. And then with this one, with LFO2, I'll make that go to this wavetable position here. So the square that corresponds with LFO2 and oscillator 2 position, I'm just going to move that up a bit. You see, so I'm basically making it on quite a low number, 9.4. And I did just mess with the rate and put it up slightly. And all it's doing is it's making that, this is a wavetable called Gremlin, which has a lot of formants. And it's just gently moving through it to give it some variation in the bass. So it's clear that we're going to need a few bars of this drums, so I'll just highlight everything and press Command and D a few times. Now we've got a 4-bar loop, and I'll just put the warp marker around the whole thing. So what I like to do is just press some keys on the keyboard and then look for them on this keyboard by kind of zooming out, you know, and then you can see that there they are. So then you zoom in on that bit and you can see them more clearly. So I thought about the call and response, and this could be the response. So that's the wavetable synth. So we've got oscillator 1 is doing a triangle wave. Oscillator 2 is doing this gremlin formant wave with a LFO that's moving it up and down. I'm also going to turn on this sub oscillator. Let's have a look at the spectrum analyzer. And you can see that actually the sub that it is producing is in the sort of 20 something hertz range, so that's not really helping anything, so I'm going to turn that back off. What I am going to do is get some effects and put them on it quickly, so I'll just get the saturator, put that here. I'm going to turn down the output, turn up the drive. So I'm going to be putting a new first note. This is essentially, I don't know why I've done it this way around, but I'm doing a call and response, and this is the response. So I need to do the call, you know? That was, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, Aether is saying have the first note longer, and I want to big up the GOS in the chat as well. So I'm going to get another wavetable and put it on this other MIDI track here. And the idea is to have one big long note that goes boom. So let's go further down. Alright, so I've kind of done this the other way around. I've done the MIDI already, and then the idea is to sort of program in the patch after. So it could be triangle shaped. Or we could have it like the first oscillator is a sine wave, the second oscillator is the sawtooth. Alright, so let's go back to the matrix and link the LFO to some other stuff. So, for example, this filter could have a really slow LFO on it. So I'll just crank that up a little bit, and then I'll go to LFO 1. And I'm just going to put that on a slower. Alright, let me start putting some effects on these. So we've got the saturator. Dirty it up a bit. Maybe even the amp. No, the amp's not working. Dynamic tube. Right, so the wobble one. We could try it on the quarter. I want to just quickly show you something about wobble bass. You can automate that, the timing of it. Let me just duplicate this a few times. So now we've got 16 bars here, right? So you hear how you've got the call and response, and really they should be the other way around, and I'm just going to label these call and response, right? Now when you've got wobble bass, for the crew that don't know, that wobble that I've put on there that was at 1/8, you can actually change that and make it do all different ones. And the way how you do it is you press the A key to get into automation mode. And when you see these red lines appear, you'll know that you're in automation mode. Then all you do is go to your synth of choice and click on this rate here. Once you've clicked on it and you see LFO1S rate, you'll know that this line is now corresponding to the rate of the wobble. And what you can do is, let's say if you wanted it to be on an 8th note for the first one, and then here you wanted it to go to a quarter, what you would do is move this so it says a quarter, like that, all the way across. Now this bit here is a quarter note. You could even go mad and have a faster one. 1/16, you know? Might sound ridiculous, but I'm just kind of showing you how to do it. Yeah, that one. You see that? Look at the filter. So yeah, I'll just keep going with that. You know, you've got, it does a normal one, 1/8, then it goes down to a quarter. Normal one, then there's a faster one. Normal one, then we're going to go down to a quarter. Normal one, and then a faster one. And maybe I'll try and do some other instruments and then we'll come back to the bass. Let's have a look. Instrument rack. Actually, you know what I should do? I should get the Wavetable Synth and make like something other than a bass line, you know? It's a very versatile thing. So I'll put my MIDI keyboard back on. Look, so there's a section here that's called instrument, and then you can go on these different instruments. So just looking through the different waveform shapes that you've got, there's these collections here, right? Basics, distortion, filter, form, and harmonic noise. For example, in noise, you've actually got brown noise, pink noise. So some of these could be useful for doing filters and stuff. So that's supposedly a piano, you know. That's supposed to be an organ, so then there's an infinite amount of waveforms within here that you can choose from. So Ephemeral is saying, what about an ARP? So let's try that, because you know what I hardly ever use is MIDI effects. So why not try them live on the stream? So arpeggiator. So for the people that don't know, this section here, MIDI effects, are things that you can use before an instrument. So usually within Ableton Live, the instrument would usually be the first thing that you have, and then after the instrument you'd have all your different effects and tools like EQs and compressions and all the rest of it, right? But when it comes to MIDI effects, these are something that go before the instrument. Why? Because these actually are going to affect the notes that you're playing. And here's something called an arpeggiator. And what this does is basically, if you just hold down one note, it's going to make a load of different notes going in patterns. Like, for example, you see here it says style up. And look at the different styles you've got. Up, down, 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 up and down, down and up. But what you need to do is you can choose a key here, major or minor. So you've got, I'm going to put this in E minor. Random. So let's put it on random. Oh, you've got chord trigger. And then you can change the groove. Yeah, so I was actually like, the way how I usually do arpeggiated stuff is just literally write in the notes, and I have complete control over what the notes are doing and where they are and all the rest of it. I just thought I would try out this MIDI effect arpeggiator. And you can come up with some cool effects. For example, listen to swing 8th. Making IDM now. Right, so let me just draw them in instead, the old school way. Where were we? So I was saying E. So I'm going to put in some notes, and then what I'm going to do is afterwards I'm going to mess with the synth more to shape the sound. So I was thinking with this, what we could do is have on one of these delay channels, like B delay, sorry, send and return. What I could do is turn up this here and then put the delay on, what is it for? So Aether is essentially trying to turn this into a ragga jungle tune, which is fair enough. Not going to complain about that. Oops, I'm still in automation mode. You know what? Maybe it would make it sound pretty cool if I went in and got a breakbeat. Let's have a look. So I was going on last week about the all CD quality famous breaks. This is a folder that I got from Reddit. And if you're interested in getting it, all you have to do is type in into Google Jungle Breaks Reddit or something like that, and I think it's becoming quite a popular subreddit. And there's basically a guy claiming he's too lazy to go and get all the breaks, so can someone just give it to him? And then someone just said, here's my collection, here's my personal collection, and it's this one. Yeah, shout out anyone who's gone and got that pack of breakbeats from Reddit. I was saying last time, have you ever used this? Have you ever used this form of warping where if you put it onto beats and then put this to like the sideways arrow going into the line, then you've got this 100% here that you can turn down. And if you do, then it sort of it turns down the sustain of each hit. Anyway, can sometimes sound good, but other times you might just want to put this onto Complex Pro and have the normal Amen break. And I've just I put it on Complex, not Complex Pro, normal Complex, and then I've just pitched it up by 3 semitones. And let's get rid of some of these and just listen to how the drums sound. In fact, I'm going to start renaming. So we've got kick, we've got snare, we've got top loop, and we've got amen. And all of these 4 are the drums, so I'm just going to highlight one, hold down shift, highlight the last one like that, press Command and G to group it together, Command and R to rename it, and call it drums. It's got a bit of a stoppy, starty kind of feel to it. If you layer it with other stuff, then it can work. But I think if this is your only break, you should probably just keep it on complex mode. And if it doesn't sound quite right, maybe mess with the transpose to make the break slightly higher pitch or lower pitch. I want to big up everyone in the chat. Shout out Aether, Ephemeral. We've got the GOS. We've got Manilin, Sahagon, Future World Machines, Suklal. Big up all you guys. Shout out anyone who's not in the chat but watching this. I really appreciate you guys. And also anyone who's watching this back at a later stage. Thank you very much. So anyway, I guess the first part was about the Wavetable Synth, but as Aether was saying, it would be good to put in some ragga samples and turn this into kind of a tune, you know, or take it in some kind of direction. Dub klaxon sound. Echoing out. What I'll do is I'll just put like way too much reverb and delay on it. Quite like just the very beginning of the klaxon, but then because it's got so much delay on it, it sounds like this. So it'll do that once every once every 8 bars. So I got this folder from this guy called Andy Druddy. And it's got like all these different reggae chords in it. So let's have a listen to the E major or E minor. So I'm just going to put that on the 2 and the 4. So I'm going to put it there, and then holding down Alt, I'm just going to drag it to here. Maybe A minor. Alright, so people who've watched my channel before, you'll know that this is a method that I use to sort of build up a bit of a reggae skank. And the first thing I do is I get the chords from Andy Druddy and put them there. And then the next thing I usually do is get some form of a keyboard, as in a Rhodes or a organ or something like that. And in most cases it's going to be the Scarby Mark 1 in Contact. So I'm just dragging in Contact and it's appeared on the wrong screen, so it looks like this. We've got the Scarby Mark 1. I'll just double click that and I need to put in the following chords: E minor and A minor. And since it's actually really only a 2-bar loop, I can just do this. And it's turning off solo. First of all, let me find an E. Probably going to want the one below it. No, it's this one up here. So I want A minor, so this should be right. Alright, so I've just duplicated the Contact. In this one, I'm going to choose the Gentleman. So I'm going to group all these 3 together. On the group as a whole, I'm going to put a few things. Number 1, EQ8. Take out the low end. Now on the 2 separate, on the piano and the Rhodes, I'm going to put some delay on there. I'm going to put that onto those 2, but not the guitar. And I'll make it quite subtle. Now the reverb, I'll put it on the group as a whole. And I'll use some compression as well. I use the glue compressor to try to glue together the 3 different elements of the reggae skank, like this. I know what you're on about. Sorry for the late reply, Ephemeral. But you're talking about the oink, 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 oink terrorist sound. You know, I don't mind using it, but I have to say, it is kind of played out. This is from a stranger, by the way. If anyone wants that terrorist sound, shout out Stranger, because he brought out a free breaks sample pack and it contains that sound. So if you want it, it's in there. Maybe we could do something to it to make it, you know, make it slightly less obvious. For example, reverse it. Audio effects. Let's get the hybrid reverb. Hey, do you know what we could do? Have you ever done this thing before where you put a load of effects on something and then freeze it and reverse it? Watch this, right? So I've put some delay on it. I've put some pretty over-the-top reverb on it and stuff. Now we're going to freeze it. I just want to show you this as a technique, not necessarily for this tune. But if you flatten the track and then just put these two together with Command and J, now we're gonna re-reverse it so it's back to forwards again, but it's got all this stuff before it, so it sounds like this. See what I mean? So if you ever want to have a big long tail that's sort of leading up to something like that, and then what you can do is put the reverb on it again. Even put the delay on it again if you want. This could be layered really kind of quiet and subtly in the tune, you know? Alright, so I've got this folder called Raga Jungle, and it's in Breakbeat Paradise. So I don't know if you guys have got Breakbeat Paradise, but I was saying on a stream the other day, I'm pretty sure this was my first ever sample pack, because a mate of mine had it on an external hard drive in the 2000s, and he was like going on about starting producing, and then he gave me Breakbeat Paradise, and this was my first ever sample pack, and I absolutely rinsed it. Anyway, if we go into, what is it, effects? No, it's just in this section here called samples and then Raga Jungle. Now I need to be really careful with these because one of these samples got me my stream demonetized the other day.
Hey, 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 hey. I make hits. One who can draw, just come out.
So really what I'm going to need is some kind of a melody, aren't I? So do you remember the other day I was showing you the Melodica that I made by recording all the notes? So this is a sampler instrument that I made by recording every single note on the keyboard of the Melodica. And when I showed it on the stream the other day, I'm pretty sure that somebody said it sounded too cheap. But then as soon as I dropped this delay and reverb onto it, then they were saying, actually, sounds miles better. Extremely dubby. So I'm going to put that on spring reverb. There's also, on the reverb, there's this EQ tab that if you select it and you can just bring that way, that'll make sure there's no bass in the reverb. I was saying the other week on the stream that basically there's this dub guy called Augustus Pablo, and he was famous for playing the Melodica over dub tunes. And I'm pretty sure when you say it sounds like old school Scream, I'm pretty sure that Scream was inspired by the original guys who played Melodica over dub, like Augustus Pablo in the 70s. But yeah, you're totally right. He features a lot of that style, you know. Chrome Star as well. I don't know if you remember Chrome Star. He was a dubstep guy who featured a lot of kind of melodica and different melodies like that, you know. You know, if I was going to cheat, what I could do is literally just grab the MIDI off this and put that onto the Melodica and see how it sounds. Quite like it with that extra note there. So this Melodica sort of reggae skank could be mixed in with the normal reggae skank group, but probably quite a lot lower than the other instruments. Definitely adds something. Shout out E.E. Wilson in the building. So it started off as a wavetable guide showing you how to use the Wavetable Synth, and I did make a couple of little bass patches, but it's essentially turned into making like another reggae style tune. And I've got the Melodica here, and I might make a little melody. I've still got it, by the way, I've still got the Melodica, but it's in my storage unit. And maybe one of these weeks I'll actually sit here and play it on the stream. But thank you, Future World Machines, I appreciate that. Each note is like 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's about 2 seconds long each note. But if I go to zone and you go through all these here, you can see each note. Hey, perhaps I should give it away to Grace Nation members. Let me know if you think it's a good idea that I give away my multi-sampled Melodica instrument to Grace Nation members. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. And when it loops around, I'll play it. Wonder what this tune would sound like if I started to make it slower. Shout out Aether saying, can I play the Drunken Sailor? No, unfortunately not, but I definitely should learn it. You know what I really love? The sound of when you change the settings of this delay. Listen what happens. always go on about these Zion train dub drums. So this is another sample pack that I've had for a long time. But check out some of these. So if we go to listen to this. Let's crank it up a little bit. Alright, so I've just put some processing on the dub drums. And one thing I like to do is this, right? So on this send A where there's already a reverb, I'm going to delete that reverb and I'm going to put the hybrid reverb instead. Then I'm going to change it to a spring reverb. I'm going to put the dry and wet on 100% and I'm going to put the decay down a bit to like 2 seconds, 220. Then with these Zion train dub drums, what I'm going to do is automate send A. So put it on mixer, hybrid reverb, right, which is send A. Then on the snares, I'm going to send it a different amount each time. So the first snare, I'm going to send it a bit. The second snare, I'm going to send it a lot. Third snare, I'm going to send it a bit. And then on the fourth snare, I'm going to send it to the max. So we've got this pattern where the first and third snares only send a bit and barely noticeable really. The third one, sorry, so it's the it's the first and third, yeah. And then the second one sends quite a bit, so it is audible. And then on the last one, which is number 4, it sends to the max. And on that one, it's sounding squelchy and dubby as hell. Alright, but we do need one thing, which is on the hybrid reverb, if we go to the EQ tab, get rid of a load of the low end out of it like that. That way it's going to sound a lot cleaner. So, for the people who haven't really figured out what I'm doing here, is that I'm creating these dub drums for an intro, so that we can have it kind of like a dub tune for the intro, and then when it drops, it's a D&B tune. This is what we got for the intro. And then obviously on the drop it'll sound more like this. By the way guys, if you like the sound of the drums that I've used in today's tune, they came from a liquid drum and bass bundle from Ghost Syndicate, and if you're interested in it, it's on sale right now. And there's a link below this stream in the description where you can download it, and it's actually a affiliate link, which means you'll be directly supporting the channel by buying it. So it won't cost you anything else to buy it through my link, but you would actually be supporting this YouTube channel. So check out the Ghost Syndicate Liquid Drum and Bass sample pack at the link in the description. So I've just put some EQ8 on this top loop to take out some of the low end, just in case, you know. And since we added the Amen break, which is really taking care of the sort of upper mids, we don't need as much of that in the top loop. So we can take a look at my Melodica playing, or more specifically my computer MIDI keyboard playing, which, by the way, this is a Bluetooth MIDI keyboard. So if there is some, you know, seriously swung notes, then part of it is my amazingly relaxed playing style, joking. Part of it is this Bluetooth latency, which could work in my favour a bit, but sometimes it's just way too swung, and that's why I'm in here and I'm about to tidy it up a bit. So maybe certain notes like that, you might say that's too swung. So what you do is hold down Command, which sort of temporarily disables the grid and allows you to drag stuff freely like that. This one, pushing it. One thing you can do is to select everything, right? And if you go to quantization settings, you can just choose amount 50%. That way it'll put stuff towards the grid but not directly on it, and that'll probably make it sound a bit tighter. And then certain ones it's like messed it up. I mean, what's going on here? There's one that's a little bit early there. Don't really want any early notes, to be honest. Another early one there. Not really feeling that. So all that stuff that I put on FL dub drums, I can just quickly drag that onto the normal drums group and then hold down Alt before I let go, and that'll just leave it all where it was on FL dub drums, but it's also copied it onto the normal drums. And obviously things need adjusting to taste. For example, this compressor threshold needs moving up a bit. It's really squashed them, but I quite like it. Let's have a look at the levels. Minus 3.12, minus 1. So it just kind of gains us 2 dB of headroom, whilst giving the drums a particularly squashed sound, which could be quite pleasant. Shout out Sens. By the way, if you guys want to learn how to make drum and bass or jungle using Ableton Live, I do actually do one-on-one classes via Zoom. And if you're interested in getting involved, all you have to do is send me an email to my email address, which is graish@icloud.com. So write it down, graish@icloud.com. Send me an email and we can talk about getting started with the lessons. Alright, it's coming up to time to do the arrangement for this. Maybe I will just quickly make an organ first. So I'll bring in another instance of Contact. And in Contact we've got these vintage organs. We've got jazz, we've got rock. I Shot the Sheriff is probably supposed to be a Bob Marley sounding type of organ. That's interesting. So I don't know if you guys can see the I Shot the Sheriff organ that's on the screen, but you can see at the bottom there's these different zones of the keyboard, right? And you'll hear that if I'm playing in the purple zone, sounding kind of normal, let's press X a couple of times to go up the keyboard. Now you hear how it's got like that vibrato thing going on. And then down, sounding normal. Just basic one, you know, goes like this. I'll try that one more time. Alright, let me try one more time. Alright, sorry. Let me try again. So it was supposed to go. I completely messed it up. I mean, it's cheesy. 50% quantize. Let's try. Jeez. But again, maybe the reverb and delay could be what it needs to sound less cheesy. Worth a try, innit? And maybe the octave below. That's because it's doing that weird thing. You see that? So basically it has that key split mode, and the purple section sounds completely different from the blue section. So what I did is I just put it down to lower, and now it's all one big purple section. Bit of compression. Let's even it out. No, it's already even, to be honest. I'll delete the compressor, it's not necessary. Maybe some saturation though. Alright. The melody is this. Could there be both melodies at the same time? They're too similar. Right, so I'd say we've got enough layers to make the arrangement now, and I've got 25 minutes left before I'm going, so let's be super quick about this. And what I'm going to do is copy everything and paste it on bar 33, and that gives us 32 bars for the intro, right? So the first thing I want to do is, I know I want to start off with the drum and bass drums, and then I want it to go to the FL drums later, so I'll delete them from the drop. I'll grab them from this intro part here and just put them to the 17th bar. So now we've got 16 bars of D&B drums, 16 bars of dub drums, and then back to the D&B. Next, The call and response basses don't need to be in the intro at all, so I'll delete them and then they're just left on the drop. Next, we've got another wavetable, which was something which probably shouldn't be used. What about if we made it faster? Like this. Right, you know what? Wavetable can go. And this is something I want to reiterate, is that if you have a change in direction, don't worry about it. Sometimes what you can do is a save as and then move in a new direction and not worry about it. But if you happen to have casualties along the way, like if you create some kind of melody or some kind of synth and then suddenly it's all changed now and that one doesn't fit in anymore, well, don't worry about it. Just ditch it as long as you're happy with the tune. What I'm trying to tell you here is that sometimes you have to make sacrifices. You have to delete something that you've made, and don't worry about it. Just keep moving. And if you are worried, you can always do a save as, move on with the new version, and if at some point you've got regrets or you want to go back and revisit that other sound, then you've still got it in the background. You see on here there's a swell control which you can use to like sort of crank it down and make it super mellow and then swell it up like that. So that would have been a control that was on a real organ back in the day, you know. Anyway, building up this tune, so how could it start? Sometimes I like to do this, chop out bits of the reggae skank and just have that one note with loads of delay on it. Like this, I'll show you what I mean. So let me go into automation mode, go to the mixer, and we could try this delay and do that. And if you're not happy with the timing, what you can do is create a new return track with its own delay on it, and this delay could just be the standard 1/3. Wait, so C return now is a delay that's on a third with quite a bit of feedback. Now we're going to send it to that. So I want to make the Melodica cut out as well, obviously. Oops, that's a different Melodica channel. What am I on about? It's this one here that I'm supposed to be messing with. So chop everything out apart from that one note. So this is the intro. And we're going to make it do that again. And that little terrorist bleep freeze is a great way to introduce the second 8-bar section. So it goes like this. And you see how you've got these 3 return channels and one of them's C delay, right? I've sent it to that. Now I've cheekily just turned that up by a couple of dB to really emphasize that first bit of delay. Okay. Maybe I'll move all of this to here and we'll make that do that repeating thing again twice. So it does this. Obviously it's going to need its automation. This is where we should have our dub drums. This contact melody will come much later. So what we're going to need is automating stuff to a couple of different effects on this drums group to make it sort of go away. What do I mean by that? Well, as it comes up to bar 17, what we really want to do is make these drums gradually disappear. And one way of doing that would be to automate this EQ8 to do this. You see the filter gradually taking out bass, and you can do it even more. And then the next thing you can do is automate reverb to, so you can automate the dry and wet of the reverb, so it starts on 0 and then it gradually fades up like this, and as we get towards bar 17, and then I'm going to do the same with delay. So we'll start off with the dry and wet on 0, and then it's going to gradually fade up like this. I'll make the delay start later. And then I'm going to make this frequency go even higher and probably start a bit later as well. That way you only really hear the delay when a lot of the bass has already disappeared. All of these effects that I've just sort of automated to go upwards, I'm going to group them together with a little on-off switch here. So when you group several effects together, you get this extra on-off switch, which you can automate to turn all three off or all three on. So obviously it's just this area here where I want these to come on, which is around this section. By about here it can turn off again. Now we're into the dub drums. That effects rack can turn off, ready for the drop when the drums need to be just completely normal and dry. Anyway, I'm not going to have the time to make a full arrangement here, but it goes into the drop like this. Probably this reggae skank wouldn't be here. All of this would be gone. So, is anyone still with me? I feel like I kind of maybe lost a few people whilst I was just messing about. But what we've got so far for the people that have just joined us, 16 bars of D&B drums, and then we're going into some dub drums, and unfortunately this reggae skank should have been left on. Alright, and then it drops into drums and bass. So thank you for everyone who's tuned in tonight. I really appreciate you guys locking in on a weekly basis. Thank you to everybody who's a subscriber of this channel, and if you're not already subscribed, make sure you do, because there's loads of tutorials on here, and I'm also going live every Sunday night and making various different genres, including dub, jungle, dubstep, grime. I've done a grime instrumental stream, liquid drum and bass, 140 jungle, all sorts, you know. So if you're into UK based music, get involved every Sunday night and stay tuned for more tutorials. And I do have a UK garage tutorial that's going to be out in less than a week, and I'm really happy with the tune that I made in that one, so make sure you subscribe for that. If you love this channel and you want to support, there is the option to become a member of Grace Nation. So Grace Nation is the channel membership where we get together. If you're a level 3 member, you can get in the monthly meeting that we have on Discord, where we all just get together and have a chat and discuss music production. We help each other with feedback for our tunes and stuff. So if that sounds like something you'd like to get involved in, just join Grace Nation on level 3. And I will see you there on Discord. So, anyway, this was just a quick guide on how to use the Wavetable Synth. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. And if you're watching this back at a later stage, feel free to ask questions in the comment section, and I will do my best to answer everything. So, thanks for watching, and I will see you next week.